Now, here's the ramifications, here are the consequences. By its very nature, the provisional ballot is only used if the poll official has questionable doubts about the voter. So already you got questions. Already something's wrong. Eligibility at that point still cannot be determined. So for instance, they cannot even verify the identity of the voter. The name of the person is not on any list anywhere. Maybe the person hasn't even taken time to vote. Maybe they're going to register when they vote. Can you imagine that? So there's a deadline when you're supposed to vote, but not for them. They're going to go register the very day. So you don't know where they're from. There's no ID to prove their identity. You can't even prove that they're a citizen of the United States. So anyone can vote. Now, we've been to Greece and Rome. My wife and I have been to Turkey and Israel. Let me try voting in some of those countries as a non-citizen and see what they do to me. Or the address on the ID does not even match the address on the registration list. Now, do you see how easy it is for a person such as an illegal that they could vote with a provisional ballot and skirt the voting laws? It's very easy. Or it would be easy for a person to travel from precinct to precinct and vote multiple times. The Democrats, the liberals, can get busloads of people and go from precinct to precinct to precinct. That's why a precinct in Philadelphia during the election a few cycles ago had about 6,000 voters, but had about 8,000 people vote. Now, that's questionable right there. 6,000 were registered or so, but they had many, many more votes come in that precinct. Now, doesn't that sound legitimate? Or, it's so easy to imagine how a group of people can set up shop in a back room somewhere, and with a list of people that have passed away that year, you accumulate all those names from dead people and vote for every single one of them. Or try to find out who's in nursing homes, and there's thousands of people in nursing homes across some of these counties, big areas in the states. All they have to do is fill out the application, do the form, get the receipt, generate a receipt, and vote on a ballot. So keep in mind that every provisional ballot voter is to be verified by the election committee before it's counted in the total tally of votes. Provisional ballots are counted after the election day, such as Alabama, that has a deadline of the provisional ballot, is counted after election day. So election day was Tuesday. Some states have a 7-day deadline, like Alabama, that has a deadline of 7 days. But then the fraudsters know exactly how many fraudulent ballots they need to produce to steal the election. So if they only need 35,000 more for that state of Alabama, they got 7 days to generate those in a back room somewhere, perhaps. Some states have a deadline of 3 days, and some 7 days or even 20 days like Hawaii. It is not possible to verify provisional ballots in only a few days. So if you have 10,000 ballots, you got 3 days. How in the world are you going to do it? So even the deadlines are questionable. So again, when a judge says to count every state, when a judge says to count every vote, he is telling everyone to count even every questionable provisional ballot along with the rest of the legitimate ballots. And every time a provisional ballot is cast where it shouldn't have been, it basically disenfranchises your vote since you voted legitimately. Remember, the provisional ballot is only for questionable situations. It cannot be counted legally. And when the liberals shout out, every vote must count, they really mean every questionable vote that's not even verified yet, that could be generated and probably is in some back room in some hotel somewhere or some office that belongs to the liberals. Now, what is the solution to this problem? What is the solution to our voting problem with provisional ballots? Number one, we can put up with this crooked system since 2002. That's been, 16 years now. Put up with this crooked system and try to outvote the liberals. If they're going to try to generate so many provisional ballots. Let's have more good ballots being cast and try to outdo them. The only thing is, this does not confront the fraud of the whole system of provisional ballot voting. We could also, number two, do this. We could repeal the whole law that allows the use of provisional voting. And I like that idea the best. That was a response to the Democrats from the 2000 election. They were pretty upset about the hanging chads in Florida, and they couldn't tell if so-and-so voted for this one or this one. And it was a real race for about, what, a month or even further, if I remember right, maybe 2 months, to find out who won that election in South Florida. And the liberals today still say that Al Gore beat George Bush. Repeal, though, the whole law that allows the use of provisional voting. Or put it back to the states. Do they want it or do they not want it? Let the voters decide. Do they want it or not? See, this was imposed on the American public by Congress in 2002. Some states like Minnesota and New Hampshire do not even use provisional ballot voting anyway. But the vast amount of the states do. The use of provisional ballots would be similar to the NFL adding another 5 minutes to the fourth quarter to allow a team like the 49ers to have another chance at winning a game. They're not doing too well this year, okay? But could they use an extra 5 minutes? Isn't that fair to them? But it's not fair to the other team that's playing against them. They have a set rule, 4 15-minute quarters, and the game is over. So we need to get rid of provisional ballots, have a time period during election night, let's say, across the country, 7 o'clock, or let's say 8 o'clock, and then once that's over, the game is over. Let's start counting the votes. Or it would be like adding a 10th inning to a Major League Baseball game to give the losing team one more chance. Oh, they deserve a chance. They had a chance. It was called 9 innings before that, and the other team outdid them. They fought harder, got on base more, and scored more runs. So, just like a football game has 4 quarters, Major League Baseball has 9 innings. We need to dump the provisional ballot system and direct the American voting public to follow voting laws correctly. We need to have some tough love here because it's destroying our country. We need some tough love when it comes to these voting laws, so there's not weeks and weeks of questions. And if you notice, every time the Democrats want to delay, like the Kavanaugh hearings, delay, 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 that gives their crews many more times to make more provisional ballots and box them up and hide them in cars and maybe send them somewhere or put them in a dark room and look at these 5 more boxes with 40,000 or 10,000 ballots that we found. How irresponsible can that be? Anyway, but thanks for listening. This has been a little bit about the provisional ballots. It stinks, but it's American. We need to take it to Washington. We need to repeal it. God bless each one. Thank you.